bring up the agenda again, and next would be North Coast Broadband Consortium, and we have Calvin Sandine, the new manager, on the line.
Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Calvin, and I am let me try to pull up my video. I don't have the best service, coincidentally, so. Hey everyone, my name is Calvin. I've seen a lot of you before, but for those who I haven't, I am my full-time job. I'm a broadband analyst with the Sonoma County Economic Development Board. I started in June 2017 as an intern, and I was given a position. And they asked me, "Do you know what broadband is?" And I said, "No." And they said, "We don't either." And they gave me the job, and they said, "Fix it." So I've been working here since then, and Mike Nichols is also on the call. Has been one of my biggest mentors, and also a lot of members from this group as well.
And
Calvin really needs to get better broadband connectivity.
He's back.
There we go. That's what drives the passion. All right. Well, I'm gonna stop my video. Hopefully it'll work a little bit better. But yeah, so since Tom West left, I took over for him as consortium manager. But we've just been working through kind of what's happening at the state level, which Jeff pointed on earlier. This morning, we had a management call to talk about the CPUC proceeding and definitions of rural, and going through the
I'll begin to talk while Calvin rejoins. Like I said previously, the consortium provided comments to the judge's ruling with regard to definition of rural. So there is posted on the CPUC's website for the proceeding the comments of the 4 counties. There was not a consensus among the 4 counties as to which model worked best, because different counties received greater dollar amounts under different configurations. We did provide comment, and Calvin is working on the 4 questions the judge asked were: is the census model a good model? Is the OMB model a good model? Is the RCRC model a good model? Or is there an additional model? And we were looking at the text of the bill, SB 156, and realized that the model should make some accommodation for level of service. So those receiving less than 10 megabits per second should be prioritized. And I'm just filling in for Calvin, but he's now back on, so I'll let him take it up.
No, you're good. I couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Jeff, covering that piece. Yeah, sorry, my internet is pretty unreliable. So apart from that, we are working on so the proceeding. We're also trying to work on kind of a solution for setting up our region to tap into the state and federal funds. There, as we know, there are funding opportunities that keep popping up. And for example, the USDA's Reconnect program has a deadline in February. And it's a program that we could find a qualifying project for, but again, we lack a suitable organization to apply. and bring those funds in. So we are, and similarly at the state level, we're trying to piece together a solution for that. The current state agencies that are working on it, RCRC and CSAC, are options for us. But at the same time, are we going to rely fully on them to do all the work, or should the counties work together to identify a potential solution on regional infrastructure and coordinating a more, an additional solution? So that's kind of where we're at. We're in Sonoma County. We are evaluating government structure options with our county council. We're running an analysis rather than just selecting one. We're running an analysis on JPAs, joint powers authorities, nonprofits, cooperatives, and utility districts. And we're trying to see what best fits the region for long-term success, and how that ties into state and the federal scene. If you look on kind of the federal grant programs and awarded applicants, you see a lot of different entities getting funding. I was just looking at USDA's, and a lot of the awarded applicants are primarily cooperatives and LLCs. So it's trying to understand what is going to be best for our region, and pulling in funding and deploying infrastructure successfully. After that, it's going to require a business plan. Just like any new startup department or entity, you need a business plan. Government endorsed organizations have done this before. We have water agencies, and we have electric power agencies and transportation agencies that had to do this at some point. So we're kind of at that stage, and that these grant funds are going towards these select agencies like nonprofits, tribes, local governments, co-ops. And so we're trying to build a business plan on that as well. We're looking at a 6-month timeline to try to finish everything by June, and in order to begin applying for funding. But again, we're trying to look at the region, which in our consortium is Mendo, Marin, Napa, and Sonoma. So that's kind of where we are at. In addition, we're trying to support additional things, such as evaluating Trench One's policies to try to coordinate with their transportation agencies. And we're also looking towards the future of our organization. We're in our last year of our county work plans that were funded by the CPUC. So Mendocino County has completed their work plan with the development of the infrastructure projects designs. And so we're in the last year to finish the rest of the county's project design or work plans. And then we'll most likely reapply under a new work plan, hopefully to implement all of the planning work that we've done. So I think that's it. Mike or Jeff, if you have anything else to add, please feel free to chime in. And if anyone has any questions.
Nothing to add here on my part.
Nothing to add. Defer to questions.
What happens to the problem that we can't use the plan? So when is the schedule to make a new plan?
Well, I'll try to answer that. Mendocino County has signed the JPA for the last mile with RCRC, and we would hope that they would take our plan and the dollars from SB 156 and try to implement the plan. We would hope that they would, recognizing that it doesn't fully fund the 3 implementation project plans, they would have to amend those plans to fit the dollar amount. But I mean, that's the process going forward. If we were to leave the JPA and try to manage it ourselves, we might find that overwhelming, but we also might find that we get more done that way. These are decisions for the county to make in the near term. Does that answer the question?
Well, is it their role to adapt it? I thought you had to go into them with a plan.
Actually, the RCRC strategy is to develop plans for each of the counties and then implement plans, open access last mile plans. And I think that it's a good model in that the alternatives are not open access last mile. There's some gray areas as to whether the JPA is following what their mission is at this time, or whether or not the JPA would be taking a different approach, particularly with regard to the open access element. It's optimistic.
Jeff,
Go ahead, Jim.
so has the county joined the JPA?
They have. Because there was a timeline to join, there was a timeline set to join the JPA. You could join, if you didn't join on their timeline, then you wouldn't have a vote with regard to how the projects develop. You could, in fact, join later, but you would not have a seat at the table. So we opted to join, recognizing that we could leave. It was simply keeping our options open. To keep our options open, it made sense to join.
And just FYI, as of about a week ago, 34 rural counties have joined the JPA.
Okay, thank you.
And with that and Ted's voice, I would suggest we circle back around and see whether Supervisor Williams wants to give an update, an elected representative update, before we go to West Business Development Center.
No, I don't think so, but just to follow up on the thread about the planning, there's truth in, there's not enough money coming to solve the problem. And when we look at county roads, independently, the roads of every county statewide have been analyzed, and we need $698 million over the next 10 years. We have 5.8 per year. There's no way. The long-term trajectory with the current funding strategy by the state will have us deciding which roads will become gravel. Looking at broadband is a similar problem. This is a fantastic one-time upgraded infrastructure. It will make a difference in Mendocino County. There's not enough to implement the plan we have. The plan we have is credible. If there were a more creative way to do it for less, that would have been specified. It's likely that we need to switch track and focus on how to get as much cell coverage as possible. That may be the answer in the most remote areas, which, most remote areas for Mendocino is most of our land mass.
Thank you, Ted.